From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, the beautiful Laura Stiles, Rosenberg. Give it up for our friend Rich Kleiman on the program. You know what I mean? Soon to be NBA commissioner or maybe team owner, maybe even general manager of a team someday. Rich Kleiman, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm just happy to be here, man. I
That's
really
how you
am.
end us.
I swear to God, I'm a fan of this show.
Yeah, you've become because your kids becoming school age.
Yeah.
He's one of those people who was out and now is back.
I told my kids this morning I was coming to the show we listened to in the morning. They said, "Oh, the Ebro and Wingo." Because they
Ebro and Wingo.
They confused the Golic and Wingo I flip to sometimes.
Yeah.
So
At least they
Ebro
knew my
and Wingo.
name. Hey, ladies, how are you guys? So, question.
Yeah.
You currently are the manager business with Kevin Durant. What's the role?
That's the role. I'm his manager, and we have a business together.
Confidant,
Friend, homie.
yeah.
How long have you been in this role?
Like 7-8 years.
7-8
It's evolved, though. It's evolved. I was his agent, and I knew him. I was his friend. I met him through Wallace. DC.
Yeah, and you used to manage Wale.
I did. Ebro, I did.
And wait, give us the list. Give us the list of rap artists, of rap associated acts that you managed previously.
Wale.
Of course.
Meek.
Correct.
Mark Ronson. He's not a rapper, though.
But he's rap adjacent.
Rhyme
yeah.
Fest.
Rhyme
Brand new.
Fest.
You were managing Rhyme Fest back then?
Back then, yeah.
When Brand New came out?
Yeah.
So you had lots of Kanye dealings then as well.
You want to hear a funny story about that record? We went to Marquee one night with like all the ski crew kids, like Richie and all them. And they put the record on. I told you this story, John. They put the record on. And, like, I had no gauge of what a success was going to be at that point. But if everyone was standing up in Marquee, I felt like the record was out of here. So they put the record on. All those kids was wilding. Jay looked at everyone like, nah, like that. Everyone sat down. I swear to God, I never heard from that record again. That was it. Just literally gave a look to the table like the record was trash, and that was it.
Wait, someone gave a look and shut down the record?
Jay-Z was like, yeah,
Jay
nah.
looked at everyone like, nah, like wasn't feeling the record. And all those ski crew kids sat down, like all Richie and
Come
them.
on, Rich. You guys got to think for yourselves.
Nah, but you know what it was? It was like, what is this? Like 2001. Like, we wasn't all thinking for ourselves. We was in the club.
But it's still clearly a lot
It's
of
funny
people
because
don't.
Brand New was a dope record.
I thought it was
It was a
fire,
very
man.
college radio. It had good radio success.
Yeah, it had a commercial feel to it
Nah,
too.
yeah.
It wasn't
And by the way,
And
Rhyme
Kanye-
Fest-
and
Rhyme
Kanye
Fest-
rapped on it, man. Kanye had a whole
Yeah.
verse, a real
And Rhyme
verse.
Fest did Jesus Walks and did a lot with Kanye, and they still, I think, are comrades in some
I have
regard.
no idea. I don't know.
Wait, so was that your
Mark
first?
Ronson.
Was he your first artist though?
Yeah,
Rhyme
Mark
Fest.
Ronson and I had a joint venture deal with Clive Davis, and we signed Rhyme Fest. But it was off of like Mark Ronson being that dude in the city.
Right. He had his parties, DJing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And so you and Ronson became friends. That was sort of the foray
Yeah.
from you going from.
I was managing his DJ career, and I started managing like Samantha's DJing career, his sister.
So tell us some of the craziest events you ended up at as a result of managing the Ronsons.
Oh, Tom Cruise's wedding to Katie Holmes.
That's
Crazy.
that's crazy
In a
town.
castle in like right outside of Rome. It was nuts.
Oh my God.
Nuts.
wow.
And you were just posted up, hanging out.
Yeah. They put us in like the talent dinner beforehand with Andrea Bocelli. I swear I had no idea he was blind. I swear to God, this before I knew he was blind. So I was looking at Mark like, yo, what's up with dude? You won't even look at me.
Oh my God.
I swear to God, I had no idea, bro. I had no idea. But that was crazy. A lot of those. Let's see who else.
Yeah, there had to be some other ones because Ronson was doing big stuff. at that time.
Ronson. But when Mark and I worked together, we built that studio in Soho, and then Mark had like Amy Winehouse did Back to
Right,
Black in
right.
there.
Yeah,
Lily
yeah.
Allen was in there.
Were you
Adele
around a
was
lot?
in there. Adele had a duet with Daniel Merriweather. It was like
Shout out to Daniel Merriweather, wherever you are.
He's in Australia. He's chilling.
So
He's
you
got
were around
engaged.
when Samantha had the whole rock deal too.
Yeah, well, but she was with Rockefeller. I was with Mark at that time. I hadn't
Okay.
gone to Rock Nation yet, but she was with like Damon.
Right. I
Yeah,
remember that.
Yeah. But then when Rock Nation started, I went right over from day one. So that's where like Mark was with me there for a little bit, Daniel, Wale.
So how did that happen? Was that just a Jay call to you, being like, "Hey, I want you to come over here"?
Well, we were friends. I wanted to be over there.
Okay.
It was like, come on, let's go now. It's time.
And what was your official first job with Rock Nation?
I was working in music management.
In music management.
Yeah.
And then when they start the sports thing,
I was like, please.
and then you had to go become an agent.
Yeah.
Is that how that worked? And you went to school?
Yeah, but it wasn't that difficult.
What was the process?
I want to be an agent.
And you go to school? You go to take a class?
No.
You just signed paperwork?
At that point, yeah, I didn't think there was a test back then.
Wow.
Now they added a test in now.
I was
to
a
kinda-
baseball agent too.
Right, but when did they start testing to become? I think you have to take a test to become
Now
a
you gotta take a
basketball
test.
agent.
Now you got to take a test. Yeah.
And was that a way to weed out people who were just coming in the game loosely to try to make it
I
more of a
honestly don't
weeding
know. I
out?
would assume so.
Because
But
that's
I-
usually why they implement testing.
Yeah, well,
like
they-
you know,
yeah.
to keep people from
Yeah,
voting.
well, you implement
to keep-
anything to change the way it was, so they
Right.
probably just didn't like it the way it was.
Right.
But I'm not even an agent anymore. I let that certification go because you can't move the same. You can't go into AU gyms like that.
Right. Oh, true.
No, and that's not part of my business.
So does
anymore.
KD have someone who is an agent or no? It's
He
just you.
signs his own. I mean, it's like we're working within a box of like parameters on a contract, and like that's such a small element of our business. And he does a deal every 3-4 years, so it's like we can figure out what he's supposed to do. He can sign his own contract because he's. You can sign on your own behalf, obviously.
With regard to where being a superstar basketball player is, you just said that every 3-4 years we deal with these parameters on this piece of paper with the NBA or whatever team we're dealing with. Is that how a lot of young athletes, because the agent basketball thing has definitely changed in some regard, even with LeBron and Rich Paul and how they managed LeBron's
Well, they
career.
started it, yeah.
Right. How much has that world changed now where players are more in control, especially?
A lot. Well, I think it's funny because, like, I think a lot of times athletes get you know that documentary they made, Broke? You ever see that?
I didn't see
heard
that.
of it. I never
Yes.
saw
So it's
it.
like an
Yes,
old
yes, yes.
adage. Like you just assume, people like to just assume that like they should, like athletes run out of their money. I find athletes to be like the most astute business minds there are. You find another 18-year-old kid that has the wherewithal to like know how to manage his family, weed out people in his life that are, or at least know that they're supposed to think that way, right? Or even talk about like setting up a business or should I have an agent? Like I had no idea at 18. I know you didn't.
I definitely
course
did
not.
Well, I was running
That's
a
what I'm
business.
saying,
At,
but
I was
people-
running a business at 18.
No,
What
I
business?
actually was too. I was
I
a
had a
bookie.
record. I had a record pool and I had a promotions company
but
when I
we're
started
different. We're
college.
The
different.
majority of people didn't.
But I had already been in radio for 3 years, so I got to see others.
Yeah,
kinda
exactly.
do it.
But it was different demand on your time
Yes.
too. You were initiating it. These guys are like,
Yes.
they're in the league, and now it's all coming at them.
And it's at a higher level. way
yeah.
higher.
But like when the examples are LeBron James and now Kevin Durant, I think an athlete should think about that, right? Like you're not talking about just anybody that's starting their own business or enterprise. There's an evolution to it.
So let's get to the business of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Your name was floated as potentially running the Knicks.
Yeah, but that
Was that a realistic possibility?
no,
Not that you know of.
no, but because nobody called me, it was. I mean, for like my own satisfaction, that was incredible to see.
Well, just to have your name in the mix.
Yeah, and like my mother thinks I have the job. I have to like, it's gonna take like a week or two to unravel this a bit. She was so excited on text. I was like, let me not ruin this for a second.
Wait, you let her run with it?
Nah, I just didn't respond all the way.
Oh my God.
I'll let her have it for the weekend. I'll tell her after. She watched the Oscars last night. I'll break it to her today.
You know, I'm not running the Knicks.
Yeah, I'm not the Knicks president.
What do you think?
Are you happy with where the Knicks have
Hell
landed?
yeah.
You think this is a good
Yes.
move? You think Leon Rose is a good move?
Incredible move.
Tell us why.
Well, first of all, like it seems simple, but I've never met a human being in my life that doesn't like the man. And like from a culture perspective, if you can start with somebody who's so beloved and so respected and connected, like that's a great base, you know? And then from there, it's the pieces are there. This isn't like the most difficult puzzle ever. It feels that way. As like a New Yorker, it would feel that way to me too if I like didn't know from the inside, but they have draft picks. The law
7 of
averages
them, right?
7
Yeah.
draft picks. They have good young players. Leon is a real dude. I'm like one of the only people.
Jewish guy with a black man's name. You got to love that all the time. Leon. Yeah.
Leon, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Leon Rose?
That's a generational thing, though, right?
Yeah.
It is, because there's Lloyds and
If I
Leons from
came
back
in
in the
here
day.
with my little baby son named Leon right now, you'd look at me crazy.
Nah, but if you know, you know. You know what I mean?
It's Leon.
There's a couple of
Middle
Jeromes
name's
out there,
Jeff.
too, by the
There
way.
are Jeromes.
There are
Jerry.
Jeromes.
And they're Jeromes.
Yeah, there's some Jeromes, some Jeromes out there for sure.
But yeah, I love it. I love it. They're going to be good.
Now, why has it been so difficult in the past? We always get to this point with the Knicks where everybody's like, oh, they're going to
I
be
know.
good, they're this, they're that. It never works.
Never works, yeah.
Why?
It worked. I mean, I
Is
don't
it
know.
Dolan?
No.
It's not Dolan.
In my opinion, it's not. I know that sounds like, like that's.
You don't want to lose your tickets. You know, he points people
I
out
don't
in the
have
crowd.
tickets, and I honestly don't even think if I have them yet. But no, I just don't think that. Like, I don't think it's on him completely. No.
Has it been in the past on him?
has he played? I think, listen, when you're losing for that long and you have circumstances and mistakes that are made, they pile up. And I also think, I said this to you before, I think Knick fans, it's crazy to like say this because I'm a Knick fan, but I think Knick fans play a part in like the culture.
And these rushed decisions to try to appease the
just
fan?
like the energy. You
They're acting
feel
like
it.
losers.
You feel it in the Garden. If you're down 6-0, like we're all human. Everybody out there's feeling that like, oh, it's the tide's turning. It's disaster. It's like you got to stick like, I mean, listen.
Hey, come on. The Knicks fans been waiting 40
Nope.
years. They haven't been in the playoffs. They've only been in the playoffs 3 times in the last 15 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And you expect the fans?
No,
who
he's
still-
just saying they contribute to it.
That's
It's
what
not about
that's what I'm
expect.
saying. It's just this. Listen, the fans are the best fans in the world for sure. Like New York sports fans, in my opinion, are the best. Yeah. I'm just saying that like there's a energy at times when things are going bad at the Garden that like propels itself. It just keeps spiraling and like. There's definitely like this feeling to always make a decision to make this team better overnight. You felt that through time, and we all know that that's just not the way you can develop something great. So I think that if like this is a perfect time because Leon's so respected to just give it its time. Like it just needs its time. You got to look at it like if they haven't been competitive for 20 years, be patient right now for this process.
Might as well wait.
Let's wait.
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying. Like I don't begrudge them for it because I get it. But for example, I went to a Warriors game this year. The Warriors are dreadful, the worst team in basketball. But mentally, because they've been so great, the tone in the building is like, we don't care.
Yeah,
We're
but that's
happy.
a different layer there.
No, I get it.
They got their best players ain't playing.
No, they know they're going to
they
bounce
have
back.
A future.
But my point is, and you're right, it's very easy for them to feel that way. But you do feel the energy, whereas the energy in New York is like, this is never going to be good. We're terrible forever. And if you believe it's Dolan, well, then you're screwed forever because he's never selling the
Sell
team.
the team. Sell
Which,
the team.
apparently that really bothered him.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point that he...
You'll be all right. You own a basketball team. You'll be okay, my G.
I mean, I don't think anyone feels bad for him, but I do...
Food in your fridge. Bills paid.
You think? Yeah, I think financially it'll be all right. He needs a new band, though. I'm worried about the music.
Basketball team?
What'd you say?
Are you a Wizards
You
fan?
heard him? No.
No, I'm a Celtics fan.
So his guy.
From what?
Childhood.
Larry Bird, white, racist. It's crazy.
Larry Bird, white. I only wanted to root for a white man in
Damn,
basketball.
Rosenberg.
No, my family. It was like
He was listening to Slum Village, but he was in like a Celtic game.
That's
he
true.
had his African medallion on rooting.
Although
for
I'll
Larry
tell you the
Bird.
truth, by my age range, when I got really conscious of the Celtics, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was Larry very early.
Yeah.
But I was little. I was 8, 9 years old. So most of my life was when the Celtics were pretty whatever. Our best players was Reggie Lewis.
How old
and-
were you in Len Bias? Do you remember that?
Yeah, Len Bias, I was 6. So I wasn't a fan, but I remember where I was when it happened.
I'm doing this documentary right now for Showtime on PG County. The amount of basketball players that have come out of where Kevin grew up. Like, it's crazy. And the name of the film is In the Water. The idea is that, like, there's clearly some reasons behind it, but why? Like, how many basketball players, WNBA and NBA. And we went into the Len Bias story, and, like, that was crazy. That I didn't even realize. I mean, I knew it. I was a little bit older, but the Celtics, I mean, he was the guy.
The guy.
No, it was it's a
That was a real story.
it's a tragedy of such epic proportion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It actually crossed my mind around the Kobe thing in thinking about basketball tragedies that stopped the world. Now Kobe's on its own level altogether, but Len Bias stopped the world for a second, like especially in the DC area where he played at Maryland. Like my dad, who's not into sports, remembers everything about Len Bias's death. It was the NBA, it was college, it was everything.
The people we interviewed said there's not a day that goes by where they're like it's not at the top of their mind. I think within like in that world, in that community, that's what it felt
When I
like.
went to Maryland, his presence is there forever. And then when you go back and watch his highlights at Maryland, you're like, what am I
He
even
was
seeing?
serious, man. He was built like he could be playing right now.
Yeah, he was a different level.
Well, and I think that was that's why it stopped the world, is because it would have been a fundamental shift in the basketball type person, right? Like we see these periods in basketball, like even when you're talking about Kobe, when Kobe came, right, you saw Jordan-esque, right? And he delivered on the body type and the swag. Kobe delivered, right? The championships, the winning, the attitude, the presence. He delivered on everything he wanted to deliver on in stepping into that kind of body type mode, right?
Yep.
LeBron, his greatness is a completely different type of player.
Yeah, but I guess if there's they're completely different, but it's like magic evolved into this like physical specimen too.
Exactly.
But imagine also, so they had a situation, the Celtics were like the Warriors, in the middle of being great. they had a draft pick at the top of the draft. So they were going to re-up in the middle of Larry's career when he was completely healthy and Larry's a top 2 player in basketball. They're going to now add Len Bias.
Right.
So the whole shift of the next decade, when Larry's aging, would have had young Len Bias on the team with him.
Yeah.
It would have been Magic wouldn't, no disrespect, Lakers wouldn't have had 5 and the Celtics had 3. That whole thing could have swapped.
I mean, you know.
I'm just saying. Michael Jordan might not have become the same Michael Jordan.
God.
I mean,
knows?
it's all speculation.
Yeah.
It's all
We'll
speculation.
never know.
And it's tough to argue when you're talking about somebody losing a life, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get into
By the way,
talking about speculation, the coronavirus conversation this morning was pretty speculative.
Don't even
Yeah.
start.
Listen, where's Cast 1?
Don't start.
Coronavirus conspiracy.
Well, so
She
what,
wants to
Don't
go.
how did you feel about the conversation?
I mean, and listen, you know I'm a fan of the show, big fan of everyone in here. I think he was reaching a bit.
No,
Like,
he's not.
fam.
No, he's
Fam.
not.
why
This is
would
real.
what do you mean? Why would there
Fam.
be a lie behind like 90?
Why would, first of all, when America said no flights to China and no flights coming, the Chinese government told America they were overreacting. That was about a week ago.
Okay.
Let's call it 8 days.
I was
Just
cool with that.
Everyone was,
Yeah.
especially when you've quarantined 2 full cities that have a larger population than New York City. Right?
Yeah.
So, and by the way, the doctor who first discovered the virus that your government said,
The Mutabi?
What?
You ever see Outbreak?
yeah.
Of course. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to drop
But
it.
the doctor that discovered it, they told to shut the F up, and now he's dead. And,
And
the
the
reporter
reporter.
who reported on it is missing.
Who had been telling
Oh, see,
everybody
I
the
might have
truth.
flipped over to Golick and Wing over this part.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what Cass is saying is they're telling us that 900
Well, who's
people.
they? Chinese government?
The
or our
Chinese government and all- they're
I thought
telling
you
us-
said our government was lying to us.
No, the
about
Chinese government.
No, yeah.
Our
But I
government's
don't
lying
even
to us
think
too.
well, in general, for sure. But I don't think the Chinese government is even worried about letting us know like this. I mean, that's probably like, yo, just tell them 97.
Right.
Yeah. So
When that's Cass's point.
All right,
is
so
there
Cass,
he's
my bad,
running
yo.
Yeah.
he's
My
running
bad.
with they're telling us 900 people have
My
died.
bad.
He thinks it's in the thousands because Chinese government doesn't even know the
All
numbers
right,
yet.
so I stand corrected. I think there's a conspiracy too from the Chinese government, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they
Are you
don't want
scared?
people to go
Does
into
it
full
scare you
panic.
at all? Do you even think
Absolutely.
it-
I have to
you-
get on a plane
Yes.
today, which is why we're pissed that Antonio Brown didn't make it on
I'm
his
pissed
flight.
he didn't make it too. I wanted to see.
Yeah,
him.
you said you wanted us when we told you we had Antonio Brown the same day.
I wanted
You
to
were
s-
like, give me some overlap. You wanted the
Yeah.
interviews to overlap.
Well, and how do you know Antonio Brown?
I worked with him like 6-7 years ago for a month or
And-
two.
So what does that mean? It was a tryout period, kind of?
I guess he was signed to Rock Nation for like a quick minute
Got it.
when I was at Rock Nation.
And
yeah.
and how was the dealings with?
Cool, honestly, I was such a fan, and he was like, the thing is that I've realized like there's one thing that you can't ever take for granted with an athlete is how hard they work. So it's like you can put some of the nonsense aside at times when you know, like within the walls, they're working harder than anybody. AB worked like that, like, and you saw it. So I never even thought twice about like that's what
Off
we
the
just did a
field
whole. We
antics.
actually just did a whole episode on the Boardroom about the wide receiver and like nature or nurture. Like, are you born and you know as a wide receiver you got to act a different way to kind of stand out, or is it like part of the brand? I just assume that's what AB was like. The last year has been different, but I honestly, I want him. I want his skills to be able to be on like display one more time and like not let his career end
See,
this way. But
They've been trying to book an interview with us for several weeks.
Who has AB?
AB is PR
To talk
team.
about his music or to
I'm
talk,
assuming he's got something he wants to promote. That's why he's coming by a
Yes.
music station.
Yes.
2 songs.
2 songs, which I'm not interested in his music, right?
Yeah, I figured.
But
you
I'm
wouldn't be.
I'm more concerned about how we see your emotions and behavior in public.
Yeah.
And are you okay? Like, I can't just get up here and be like, yo, Antonio Brown's here. Ha, ha, ha. I gotta be like, yo, my man.
Yeah, all right.
You okay? And why
Yeah.
are you promoting music?
Yeah.
Like, you have money.
Maybe he doesn't.
And do you want to play football again? Because if so, do you think releasing this music's the way to go? Because content-wise, it doesn't sound. None of this sounds
Wait,
like.
have you heard the songs?
Oh yeah, I heard one of them.
How are they? I haven't listened.
They're great. They're what you think they be. They're trashy.
Better than Deion Sanders records.
Oh, it depends which Deion you're talking about now.
Deion had a.
You know what I'm saying? Deion was in the Too Legit to Quit video. You know,
He was just Deion's different.
but he was just hanging out. No, it's not good
Better
stuff.
than Shaq's music.
No, and it's
Shaq had a, I mean, Shaq.
Shaq
He
had
a record
songs.
He had a record with
Everybody.
Biggie.
Biggie.
Foo Schnickens.
Yep.
No,
Many.
Shaq had
Method
joints.
Man.
Method
Yeah.
Man, no
Jay-Z.
hooks.
Shaq and Jay-Z?
No Hooks, the RZA remix?
Yeah, No Hooks was fire. We don't need No Hook.
We don't.
Anyways, it's not if you're trying to get back to the NFL and you're apologizing to the Steelers and you're doing all these things, why are you simultaneously dropping music that's kind of degrading and offensive? And have you ever come out and
is it? The lyrics?
Yeah, of course. And are you going to come out and apologize to the girl who, at the very least, even if you're claiming innocence that you didn't assault her, we did see the text message with her when you're sending pictures of her kids.
Were you going to go in on that?
I had to ask about that.
Well, I was going to first make sure he's okay. Like, and then whatever he could talk about, like he may not be able to talk about what Rosenberg's talking about.
Yeah, maybe legally he can't talk about it.
Maybe he'll be like, look, I can't get into that, but you're doing media, so I got to be like, and then you know, your wife and kids and the police and screaming videos, like, I can't just.
Actually, I'm glad, to be honest with you, I'm glad I didn't overlap with this.
Yeah. Well, it
Now that you think
Might have
about
been a
it,
lot for this early in the morning.
Yes, it is.
But I can't sit down with, you know.
No, you have to. You got to.
We have to talk about the mental health. That's such a. It's
and because and the other thing is, I ask you, you know, you've known him or knew him.
Knew him, yeah.
Do you see a difference in his behavior as somebody that knew Antonio Brown? Because a lot of people have expressed that have played with him and know him that they see a difference in his behavior and how he's handling his emotions.
I wouldn't know enough. Our conversations were pretty like,
okay.
You know.
But he didn't seem crazy back then.
No.
He seemed cool.
Yeah, he seemed cool to me.
I love
cool,
the topic
actually.
that you guys came up with, though, by the way.
The wide receiver
The
show?
nature nurture, because it is such a thing that wide receivers have this flamboyance and perceived selfishness, and it's just there's a thing about it.
And then you look at Julio Jones, and he doesn't have it, and it's like, you guys don't even know him, you know?
Well, there's two breeds
Jerry
of wide
Rice.
receiver. Well, Marvin Harrison.
Jerry Rice
There's
anomaly. Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison had some off the field stuff.
anomaly,
right, but on the field, he wasn't.
yeah,
he
true.
wasn't the.
He knew better. He couldn't act like that. He had too much.
It was too
heat
real.
back.
It was too real.
It was
But
too
Reggie
much.
Wayne was low key.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne was low key.
Michael Thomas isn't a crazy
but by the way,
flamboyant
all
guy.
the people we're mentioning aren't those guys, and they were those guys on the field, but they weren't those guys.
But the superstar wide receiver.
T.O.
T.O.,
Ocho Cinco.
Odell.
Who else?
Keyshawn
had him.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, man.
Yeah, a lot of
It
them.
is very interesting.
Prime time was both sides of the ball.
Yeah. But
Andre
right?
Rison,
Yep.
Yeah, Andre Rison.
Also, what's his face?
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin. Sees a lot of them. And these are the more famous ones.
Yeah, but you
Who
just
else?
don't see it at running back. You don't see it at tight end.
But
It's
even
like,
the ones that are a little bit more subdued, they end up on like Dancing with the Stars. There's something always different about
that is interesting.
right?
Well, I think there's inherently in the position, every down you're running a full sprint and you probably won't get the ball.
Right.
Like the odds of, like if you look at 8 receptions, we ran 60 plays this
right.
game.
Yeah.
You had 8 receptions and you were thrown to 12 times.
That's a great
but
point.
we ran 60 joints.
you're right.
Right.
You know
So
what I'm
that's a
saying?
great point.
Then they telling you to like shadow block 10 yards.
Right.
down the field.
Yeah. And you're running full
So
sprint.
why are you so excited when you get the ball? You're damn right you're excited you get the ball. I've been
And I
running all
caught it,
day.
and I scored a touchdown.
Then you
Right.
catch it with one hand over 3 defenders, and they're like, that quarterback is incredible.
Facts.
I would act that way too, I guess.
That is a really
Yeah.
interesting point.
Yeah, man. It's tough. But when's that drop? Something in the water.
Well, In the Water will come out in the next, probably in the spring.
But you have something before that.
Yeah, well, the season 2 of the Boardroom though, like, so this is cool. I'm gonna Dame Dash this for a second. I'm gonna talk about all my business. The Boardroom, we're trying to create like the preeminent sports business platform for fans, for all of us, because we're all like, even if you're not a diehard sports fan, the culture of sports is so consuming now, so compelling that like every bit of what happens off the field and off the court lives on the Boardroom. Art, fashion, music, but it's rooted in sports and business.
And by the way, I've always just sidebar. It's very hip hop where sports is going, right? Because
Yeah, and
hip hop has always had that element of talking about the contracts and fashion and what
Exactly.
happens
That's,
outside the
by way,
music. And
exactly right. Like when I was coming up, I wanted to be Puff Daddy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
The business side.
The business, the hip hop impresarios were on the cover of magazines in the late 90s, early 2000s. That same sentiment in the last 5-6 years has changed in sports. People realize that like the preeminent businessmen also happen to be athletes that are playing today. You know, like LeBron started this his second, third year in the league. Nothing like that happened. It was always post-career. Now we built the business halfway through Kevin's tenure, you know what I'm saying? And now people are coming in the league like already talking that way. So this isn't for the industry. This is not for like other people working at like league offices. For all of us, that's what the Boardroom is. But ESPN buys seasons, so we distribute seasons through there. So season 2 will come out this week, the 12th.
On ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus. You'll see it all over linear, and we distribute it. And then I got another interview with David Falk today, but that's for like the heads. That's like some real sports business shit. Can you curse? You said I
just
could
did.
curse.
On this, you can curse.
That already happened.
We got the Stephon Marbury documentary coming out, which is going to be fire. Yep. Cootie and Chike directed.
A kid from Coney Island.
Yep.
And
this one is that, but this means a lot to me. Like, I grew up in the city, so like Marbury is godlike. The whole story is incredible.
And so it's interesting that you bring, because I have felt for the last several years, while you see fans of teams upset with players often, and this is mostly football and basketball. Baseball, I think trading and getting shifted to teams and those type of things have been happening for a while, where the trading process of a player, fans are kind of in on it, right? And understand the process.
In baseball?
In baseball. Whereas I feel like in basketball, since LeBron went, I'm going to South Beach and that whole thing happened. I'm taking my talents to South Beach, and fans were burning his jersey in Cleveland. There was this awakening, I feel like, happened with some fans, maybe not all, where it was just kind of like, look, these players are going, especially the top tier, are going to cities and shifting the economy, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
It's more than just selling tickets. I mean, LeBron going back to Cleveland literally changed the city of Cleveland's real estate, the downtown, the new arena, the this, the that, the sponsors. There's so many other things. And I feel like fans are getting hip to that and kind of starting to understand that these players also have to think about the business side.
Yeah.
Right? And they're kind of like, when you have a franchise player and they have to and the business dealings take place and they choose another team, I feel like fans are starting to understand a little bit more.
I think that, and then the Donald Sterling thing. Because it was like, if this is what ownership is like, in the NBA, though that was not representative of
most owners,
league owners, and players were taking control of themselves and empowering themselves and realizing, like, this truly is a business, and the owner of the LA team, the Clippers, is talking like this. Like, that seemed to be at the same time the shift. And I think and that's why the league is so healthy, because you have a commissioner who looks at these players that are taking control of themselves and is encouraging of it, and is a partnership. And you see the same thing from owners. You have these like progressive owners that are looking at it the same way. And while there's obviously constant like change and things to deal with within the league that players want to have better, and owners want to have better, you have like incredible minds at a table, and that's why this league is pop culture. Like, the NBA is, for us, it's similar to what, like, in my opinion, what hip hop felt like, where every trend and every fashion and every deal and every kind of moment in time, we relied on like those guys in our life, and it's the same way now for the NBA. Like, I look at the NBA as more, in a lot of ways, more influential in culture now than anything else. Do you agree with me?
It's up there.
It's up there, right?
It's up there. In some ways, I think in some ways you could argue it surpassed hip hop. Or is it on the same level as hip hop? In the sense
I think it's cousin. Like, it's one and the same. You got Drake sitting courtside. You got
they go together.
They went to the finals. He's right there. A song came out.
But there may be less. In hip hop, there are less stars now that have a ton of influence, I think, than the NBA. There's so many in the NBA.
Well, when you was young, they were like, every hooper wants to be a rapper. Every rapper wants to be a hooper. Does every hooper want to be a rapper now? Because, like, what they may have wanted was like what they perceive to be a rap life, right? Like,
well, that's where the term balling comes from. The term balling comes from cats in the street being like, yo, he got a ball contract. He's balling.
Yeah.
Like, he's that was the fastest way at that time in the 90s. That was how a black man got to big, super big checks, right? You had, the Pacs and the Snoops and the Dre's and these people getting, $10 million, $20 million contracts. Puff getting however many tens of millions he got for Bad Boy. That was the only other people who saw money numbers like that were ball players. You're balling, right? And that's where that kind of relationship started. And even before that, you had the Clydes and these individuals dressing with the fur coats and coming to games looking like the drug dealers on the street. That was a relationship there, too, with the fly sneakers and the whole, the drug dealers were wearing the basketball sneakers. The basketball players were showing up in the fur coats with the limos.
But it is funny, in my opinion, that the new young rappers of today that kids love don't have the same role with the ballers as in the 2000s. Like, for example, these days still the rappers you see around basketball players who they really mess with and who the ball players mess with are still vets. It's all the Meeks and Drakes and Chance, and it's not
Travis.
and Travis. It's not the 17-year-olds. Whereas in 2000, it was the young rappers who were all in it.
17-year-old basketball players.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I
what do
guess
you
it doesn't
mean
make
young?
sense.
What do you mean young?
I mean, like
2000 rapper wasn't really 17, were they? They were like
we look back. Fab, when Fab was first in the game, he was 19 years old, and he was there.
But he wasn't acting like a kid, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Hip hop's just changed.
Yeah,
so
he
like
wasn't
we have
acting
young
like a
stars now who are just a different breed of stars.
Yeah. But it's funny, not to drop the boardroom again, but there's another
that's why you're
episode
here.
called Rapper Go to the League, and that whole premise of that episode was that like that's what it used to be. Like you had to those two avenues. And then I think what happened with rap is you started seeing the other entry points into the business. Like you saw the CEO or the business partner start to be on the cover of the magazine and living life the same way, be at the center of the party. And I think ultimately, like you could get into the music industry now and have so many different ways into which you get into it, right? Management, publishing, working a label, A&R, whatever it was, building sets. Like,
But even on the sports side, I think
now
that's
it's
happening to some
happened.
degree,
now
right?
it's happened. Like the entry point, like you can quickly say, you know what, I may not play in the league. I want to be Rich Paul, though. Right? Like at 12 and really aspire to be that way. And I think that's honestly what this platform is. Like as a kid, I really just thought you needed a law. Like if I wasn't going to play in the NBA, I need a law degree, be an agent. Well, that's not going to happen. I can't even finish a class. So like what? You know what I mean? Now it's like it's clear as day. You can get into sports through fashion, through art, through management. You know, and if you're growing up and you realize you got somebody in your community that may play in the league, like now you're not really just like this. You're thinking like, I got to find my way around this.
Like what
am
kind
I
of
gonna
business
help?
can we do together?
But like the right mindset, and that's what that's what the show is about. Like even we had 2 Chainz on an episode talking about like how he's empowered people around him, and he's giving you the sauce on like how you do it. There's a real method to it now. It's not just like which one of the people I grew up with is good or bad. Like everybody for the most part wants their man to win if they just want to find a way around it. And there's so many ways to get into the sports business now. So many.
Other than the boardroom and the docs, what other businesses are you guys unveiling to the public?
We have this. I got to send you guys. We have this. I'm going to send it to you, Laura, because you're going to appreciate it. We did this partnership.
What are you saying?
Well, I just feel like she's going to appreciate it, and she's not talking heavy sports with us right now, and
so
I want to be inclusive
let me have
of
a moment
everybody.
with Rich.
Wow. It's for her.
God.
It's for her.
Go ahead, Rich.
Wow.
So I did this company, Master and Dynamic. It's a
Okay.
luxury headphone electronic company that Kevin and I are partners in. We have collaborations with Louis Vuitton, and the product's incredible. So like the idea behind this is like you would own a pair of Beats, but you may also own a pair of Master and Dynamic. And this lives in the luxury space. We have performance headphones, and we have collaborations we're unveiling. We're signing a big music act and a big NBA player. But the idea is that this product would live alongside like having your traditional big consumer brand product. But I'm getting you the pair of Louis Vuitton.
Oh my God, amazing.
they're
See, I knew where it was
beautiful.
going.
Yeah.
That's why I was giving a side eye early, because I already knew where he was going.
Yeah.
You already get enough. You get enough.
I
You don't
need-
really share
No,
that.
but
You
much
can't
with
even
us.
wear other headphones. Let's
Why
be
not?
honest. Keep it
That's it.
1,000.
I'll
course
send
I
you the
can.
vape joints. We have a vape collab too.
Ooh.
I want the
You want the Louis joints? All right, hold up. I'll give them to you too.
By the way, Ebro's the last person
Laura
who needs a
gets to
headphone
pick a
hookup.
colors, though.
He's
Look.
no, don't even
Yeah,
listen
you're
to
a
him.
Beats-
No,
yeah.
not only that, he gets the illest
Yes.
1 of 7 Beats headphones sent to him.
Listen,
Don't
what
feel
I'm
bad for
hearing
him
sounds
for one.
like,
that
hey.
feels like
Oh, no.
that's
Yeah,
who I
then
gotta
he's like,
send
look
it
at my
to then.
Fendi headphones.
Yeah, you know
Oh,
what, maybe
my
you
God.
I
should.
may have to send it to you then, Ebro. You get
Damn it, I
pressure.
worked against myself.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he sounds like the guy then. That's right.
Yeah.
Load him up with another
I'm
pair.
on brand.
It's on brand.
Yeah, that's exactly who we need to send it to.
There, Rosenberg, we're going to send you the regular performance ones. You seem like a regular guy.
What let's talk Nets, Brooklyn, KD.
Oh, hold on, let
coming
me finish.
back.
We got a show this summer on Apple, Swagger.
I heard
O'Shea
about
Jackson.
This. I heard about
Oh, that's
this.
tight. What is
Yeah.
that about?
That's loosely based on Kevin's upbringing in Prince George's County, but like imagine Friday Night Lights centered around an AAU basketball team and rising 8th grade going into the
And
ninth
young
grade.
O'Shea's the
O'Shea's the lead. He's
And-
such a
And you
rock
guys
star,
produced
man.
that?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
he can hoop.
Yeah, he can hoop. And
Does
he's
he-
training. He's training like that's.
I mean, last week, turned around and got a triple double. That was his dad's quote. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Facts. And I know O'Shea was really hurting about the Kobe thing. He idolized Kobe.
Yeah.
Like was obsessed with him. He said he just recently had his first conversation with him a few months ago. So
Do you
I
have
know
any
it's-
special moments you had with Kobe?
No, I wish. I mean, no, not at all. I had the, pleasure of meeting him through Kevin like a few times. But I think just like anyone in the world just felt the same pain.
course.
This is a a rarity, right? Like, did we talk about it, or we didn't?
Not really.
Talk about it? Yeah.
Did you?
I just felt it on a human level. Looked at my kids different. Looked at life different. Like, just like those perspective shifts in the world where you just like.
Well, because the Kobe thing for me, me and Rosenberg got on the phone right away. Like, we never talk outside of work. Like,
on the phone? First of all, I don't talk on the phone.
A phone call.
Yeah,
he called me like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I'm as confused as you. I don't think it's real. Because TMZ's site had went down. So we sat on the phone just kind of like flabbergasted. Like,
where do we go from here?
Yeah.
I don't even,
exactly
didn't even make
right.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't, and I'm in LA, by the way, it's Grammy weekend. So I'm out there. I'm looking for flights to come home. Yeah. I'm like, yo, I got to get out of here. I don't, what, huh?
It's like nothing made sense, right?
I need to go home. And it also, I found myself processing throughout the day, like, man, you could work as hard as you can, right? And reach all your goals, do it all, and still, life is that fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, you start looking at your kids, you start trying to really figure out, like, wait, what are we doing? What's really going on?
Exactly. And that happens at this age anyway.
True.
Definitely been thinking, like, you're on that. You just you get out of the, like, grind that we've been in for, like, 20 years. And you're like, wait, hold up. Like, the party I missed? Like, that's what I was stressing.
Right.
Did you, when did you and Kevin speak?
That day, all day, yeah.
How he took a few days to give a statement. It seemed like he really didn't want to like rush out there, and he took his time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't honestly like that. There was no time for him and not even talk or think that way. He's in full control. Like, though people may think he's not, he's in full control of his emotions more so than most, and knows when and what he wants to say and how and why. Like, we never have that conversation. That's why I get so offended when people are like, how could you let him go to Brooklyn? Like, what are you talking about?
Or how could you let him play when he got hurt in Golden State? I know people came for you for that too.
You know Kevin well. Like, there's no letting. Like, this wouldn't be no letting you or letting you. Like, people don't work like that. Bro, sorry, can't let you play. Okay, you're fired. right. Like,
you could say a hey.
No, I'm saying it's not that black or white, but I'm like we have conversations like people, but like I couldn't make my wife do anything. I can't make anyone do anything.
I think that, people just want to find, in any of these situations, people want to find somebody to blame. Yeah. That's human nature. You want to find somebody to pin it on, so that way you can kind of understand why things are happening. Yeah. That's true. That's true. I actually just had that conversation the other day in regards to something we were talking about earlier. And even with Dolan, then, it's probably like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, if you're the owner, if it's your fault. Like, sell the team. The owner. Yeah. You keep firing all the coaches. Phil Jackson didn't work. Nobody works in the front office. Yeah. So the only person to blame is you. Yeah, and it's not like when we were in the Bay for 3 years, you walk down and the fans would be like, who's the sickest owner? Joe Lacob. Right. no one would say anything like that, man. Nobody even knows. I mean, they know, but like it's not the other way. Right. You think if they win a chip, they're going to be like, put Dolan up on the front float, like, you did it. Right. No, not the way it is. KD's obviously he hasn't been on the court in Brooklyn yet, but he's there all the time. He's loving the relationship so far. He's loving
great,
that.
Man. He's
loving
great.
Brooklyn.
He's so locked in on every level. Like, he really is. It's going to be fun to watch him play again, whatever that is, just as like a fan. And you say whenever that is, like, you don't want to mess up and tell us that he's coming back for sure at the top of next season. But I don't, again, like, though, it's, in going through these kind of things now a few different times in my life and in any kind of work where there's of serious nature, like, it's not procrastinating. It's just like, why have a conversation now that we just don't have to have? Let him lock in on what he does every day. The dude doesn't miss.
His jog looked good the other day, though. Nice jog.
A rep. Like when old men, like if you go to the doctor, I'm calling us old men, and the doc's like, your back's, I know, all you can really do is go home, do a few leg lifts. While you're watching TV, just do a few leg lifts. You're like, all right, like, I'll never do that leg lift, right? KD's like at home every leg lift, like watching the degree in which his foot comes. Like, he's that guy. He's just attacked rehab like that, and it's been fun to see. Now, I imagine he'll probably come back in the best shape of his life, and hopefully he takes his time getting back. I think so. And mentally, like, when you start seeing your sport or life slow down a bit. I remember when we were young, people would say Michael Jordan saw the whole court like in slow motion. I had no idea what it meant, but I get it. Like, when you walk in and your mind's racing or you're trying to impress people in a meeting, you're off your game. When you've just seen it all and done it all and things slow down and you make decisions like that, that's where KD's at. His mind is so centered. Like, he is in an interview the other day, like, yeah, I still have a burner account. Like,
that was funny.
Like, because it's like, to the perspective thing, like, what are we even talking about? Like, you do too. I was watching the,
I don't have one.
not you, but you. I was watching the Oscars last night, and Margot Robbie, it's funny, the like juxtaposition, the woman was like, so I heard you have fake accounts you go on just to see what people are talking about. That's incredible. And she's like, yeah, I like to see what people are saying about me, and everyone's just celebrating it. She basically has a burner.
Well, I need to burn my account. Mine's the other way.
Right. Ebro's what is the opposite of a burner?
Are you looking at Margot Robbie's burner right now?
I'll look at Margot Robbie's whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Whatever she wants.
All right.
You can't say that in 2020?
It's just, it's not, you're older now. It's not
I
even
can't
cute,
do it. It's not
bro.
cute
It's
anymore.
not even cute, man. Like,
I
come on.
meant I like her a lot.
Let's go back
and
to
she should have been
Sat.
nominated for the Tarantino movie, in my opinion, too. But she was nominated for something else. I just didn't see it.
Bombshell.
She was
For
Bombshell.
But I didn't see Bombshell.
You should watch The Loudest Voice. It's like the real story of Bombshell.
Oh, it's a doc?
It's on Showtime. 7 episodes of Russell Crowe.
Word. I didn't even know about
On
that.
Roger
about
Ailes.
that.
It's amazing.
Yo, Roger Ailes
I
getting
ran
a lot
right
of
through
content
it.
right now, though.
Yeah, but it's
Roger
tough.
Ailes piece of shit, right?
Yes.
Pretty much, yes.
And there's
Why
a
did-
lot
what
of
is that right
content.
there? FanDuel?
Yeah, this is my read coming up.
My brother runs the sports book in the Meadowlands.
The FanDuel Sportsbook?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah.
actually a pretty nice place.
It is. Yeah.
I've hosted there before.
Yeah.
How appropriate it is that your brother does that, given your history.
Very.
Your first job ever as a college bookie.
Yeah, wasn't
How-
wasn't a college bookie.
Well, you were a bookie while in college.
yeah, a college bookie.
You weren't just working
I
with
was
college
like, yo,
kids.
this is next. Rich Kleiman, The Boardroom, drops. You said Friday?
February 12th.
February
Season
12th.
2 will drop.
Uh-huh.
And then our doc is coming out soon,
March.
in select theaters, and then it'll be wide. That's like
You like being
Film verbiage.
you're like becoming a front facing spoken like, sports brand. This is like you came up with KD, you called in on the show, now you're doing an interview. I'm watching you.
Well, you know why? I'm also like, first of all, I enjoy it. Like, I don't overthink it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. But second of all, I quickly realized a few years ago that, unfortunately, like, I remember coming up, everyone would tell you, like, move in silence. Like, and it's just not, in my opinion, that ain't real anymore. Like, you can't move in silence.
People gotta know what you do.
If you do it on brand with who you are. But like, I never, ever, ever even question or hate when I see somebody like pushing. Like, if it's not real, that's crazy. But you should be celebrating it's an epidemic. We're all living on our phones. So like, if it's gonna help you maneuver, and you do it within the taste, like, you should.
Don't be somebody you're not.
Yeah, I
just
don't
for
even.
social media.
I said this to you the other day. I'm like, don't overthink it, man. Like, this is your moment. Like, you're never gonna question yourself for doing whatever you could to be more successful, to letting people know, to utilizing press or social media in the right way when people want to talk to you. Rosenberg's got 2 of the best shows in New York City on New York City radio. Like, who knows? Not many people.
Yeah,
You
he
gotta
was a good
talk
point.
about it. That's how you better your career. All you guys. Like,
But I can post pictures of Bear, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here.
We should
And
do a
45s.
boardroom on
45s,
here
I
in
know.
character. We should do a boardroom on here. Like, that's how I just feel like that I want everybody like us that are all associated with what we love, music, sports, fashion, all that. Like, talk about what you're doing. We all should be able to celebrate our business and our career. That helps everybody move. And that corporate America looks at it. It's real. So, like, you got to do it.
Big
His
talk.
name is Rich Kleiman. Thank you for coming by the
Thank
program.
you,
Thanks,
man.
Rich.
Check out The Boardroom.
Thank you.
ESPN Plus.
Appreciate it, guys.